All right. So now that I've got my official post fights out of the way for the night, I kind of wanted to switch it up a little bit and give my quote unquote real take on tonight's fights, the fighters involved, and how my opinions may have or have not changed on certain fighters based on their performance. I suppose, first of all, I should start off with Rendall Munroe versus Scott Quigg. Again, another fight I didn't do a video on, but I told you guys I wasn't going to do vids on the undercard, so I probably should have. That would have made me 2-2. But like I said, with the Keith Thurman fight, he was supposed to win that fight, so I wouldn't have felt all that great for taking credit for predicting Keith Thurman to win. So I didn't do a vid on it. When I think something like that is going to happen, I generally don't do a vid, and that's why when I've been doing this for like 3.5, no, not 3.5, like 3 years and a couple months, and I've just broke 200 videos the other day. So anyway, Scott Quigg and Munroe. It was an anticipated fight. I know that. I even understand why. And there were times in that fight where I looked at Munroe and went, well, okay, he's pretty good. He may do something, and then it was like, yeah, he's going to do something. Oh, look at that shot by Quigg. You know? That's pretty much how it went for me watching that fight. And for me, Quigg handled him nicely. He went in there and got the business done. And now he needs to move on. Let's hey, UK. Let's hope these guys don't do what a lot of our fucking hype jobs over here do, is get behind a promoter with a decent name and just start hiding like a motherfucker from all the real competition. I want to see Scott Quigg versus Carl Frampton. You think they're going to get it done? I think they should get it done. I mean, I don't know much about, outside of the ring with these fighters because I don't live over there, But when I do see the fights, and over the past year and a half or so, the more and more channels I subscribe to, the more and more I get excited about a lot of these British fights, UK fights. And this is a fight I think should be fucking happening. Frampton versus Quigg. I mean, wouldn't that be fucking huge over there? I know I want to fucking see it. Like I said, just an American. But I definitely want to see that fight. And what I thought was fucking funny about the Quigg fight was that when they asked him directly about Frampton, he kind of started stuttering, and yeah, at first he was like, yeah, sure, fight whoever, and then blah blah blah, change the subject to something else real quick because he didn't want to fucking talk about that. He left it up to the promoters and his managers and stuff for that one. But anybody else, you bring it on. Oh, I can feel some of the hate from the Quigg fans for that one. Look, I'm not saying that Frampton whoops his ass. I'm just saying, this is my opinion piece. This isn't like a technical breakdown of the fight or anything. It's just me talking out of my ass pretty much. But to me, it looked like Quigg's already a little intimidated by the prospect of fighting Frampton and maybe losing. And to be honest, if I had to pick right now who I think would win that fight, I'm still going to have to roll with Frampton. I just think Frampton is all around the better boxer and has a speed advantage that will will or would be the difference maker in the fight. Quigg looked sharp. Don't get me wrong, but I think Munroe was right for the picking in essence. Now Munroe had his moments, like I said, and it was a decent thing, but the fight was kind of ugly at times. So, but it wasn't a bad fight. This is sort of a theme for the night. Wasn't pretty a lot, but Quigg got it done, and in boxing terms, he got it done, and he looked well. Like I said, it wasn't a pretty fight, but so I don't know if saying it looked good would be proper way of describing it. It was very interesting how Quigg got it done, and interesting how well he performed in doing exactly what it was he should do, and so that part was impressive. So I just want to see Quigg versus Frampton, and that's that. Damn it. Moving on to Hatton. Now Irish and K. Man, I get you, bro. When I did the post-fight video, I talked all about Hatton and kind of left Senchenko out of the picture. But there's a reason for that. This whole fucking comeback shit wasn't about Senchenko. It was about Hatton. And I know loads of people, including myself, were just picking Hatton right off the bat without really taking into consideration Senchenko's ability, his advantages, and what Hatton was already susceptible to, it seemed, prior when, he got knocked out twice by the best in the world at the time, but he still got knocked out twice. And then, it is sort of funny in a really mean, horrible way that Senchenko beat down Ricky Hatton and made Ricky Hatton stay down by a body shot. That was what everybody wanted Hatton to do to Senchenko, and Senchenko did it to Hatton. Look, yeah, the man deserves respect, and as far as Senchenko's prospects from here, I hope he gets a rematch with Paulie Malignaggi, and I think he gives Malignaggi a tough fight. I'm not sure who I'd pick. I'd have to really look into that one again before I pick it, but Senchenko deserves respect for getting done what most people, almost everybody, counted him out of this fight. Like Hatton, this was an auto win for Hatton, and it wasn't. But for me, again, it wasn't so much that Senchenko was so much better. It was that Ricky Hatton looked so shitty. He looked so awful in that fight. He started off with more energy, but he wasn't exactly looking great, even if he was, winning some rounds and getting his shots in. He didn't look great doing it. He was just throwing and landing enough to win the rounds. A prime Ricky Hatton would not have been that, or even a decent older Ricky Hatton, based on his age and, how he would have slowed down anyway. But, even a Ricky Hatton on top of his game at his age should have been way more accurate than he was. And like I said in my post fight, you can only blame so much on ring rust, because you can't look at that fight and say that it was a good Ricky Hatton that Senchenko beat. No, it was a piss poor Ricky Hatton that Senchenko beat. And I hope Hatton doesn't think about any fucking comebacks anymore, because I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see it. But like I said, Senchenko should get his rematch with Paulie. I don't think he gets any better than that. So yeah. So we'll move on again from that to Keith Thurman and Carlos Quintana. I really don't have much more of an opinion piece as far as this fight's concerned. Like I said, this is similar to Quigg and Munroe, actually, in my opinion, in that, yeah, Thurman looked really outstanding, for just an eye test, if you were just to put these two fighters together and not know anything about them prior to watching them fight, Keith Thurman would have looked like a beast tonight, right? I mean, but I'm not so convinced. I mean, Quintana's definitely on the downward slope and never was, in my opinion, an A-level fighter. Yeah, he played spoiler, you know, that famous or infamous, however you want to put it, for schooling Paul Williams and handing him, wasn't it his first loss? Yeah, handing him his first loss. Never mind that he got knocked out in the first round on the rematch, but I think right then was prime Quintana, and ever since then he was, slipping downwards, and again, like I said, in the post fight, it was no different than the Quintana that fought Berto. Maybe a little slower, but no real difference in Quintana's game plan and Quintana's activity, or just the way he went about the fight. It just seemed to me like from the get-go, Thurman really, really got down his timing extraordinarily quickly. That's what I was impressed about with Keith Thurman, was his ability to get his timing down really, really nicely, and the power behind his shots were, just really outstanding. I do wonder against, I would like to see Thurman, next couple fights against some top-notch B-levelers some more. And then right after that, I mean, he needs to start really testing himself, because if he can beat B-levelers with as much ease as he beat Quintana, he's going to be something, worth watching, worth putting on pay-per-view. If he can continue to to be exciting like he was against Quintana and still look good. Now, some people can be exciting, but they're exciting because they're getting their hits in, but they're also getting their ass kicked at the same time, like Arturo Gatti. You know what I mean? Exciting ass motherfucker, but he got hit so much and was bloody all the time, and but he fought back so hard and won fights, comebacks, fought through the injury, fought through the blood, and was the real Rocky story, you know what I mean? Same a little bit with Michael Katsidis. I mean, I gotta admit that I was a big fan, and still don't mind watching Katsidis fight. But I was a big fan because, it just seemed to me like he got hit, he got hurt, he got bloodied, but he fucking fought through it and, did what he had to do. Thurman has enough power and good enough boxing IQ, which whenever someone can get their timing down that quickly, I attribute that to boxing IQ. So I think he has a good shot at making a good name for himself here. But I think they have to take his career a bit more seriously now. They have to really start putting him in there with some guys that can give him some more problems than Quintana could. Sorry. Oh no, that's not the end. And then last but not least, Andre Berto versus Robert Guerrero. Now we already know that I don't disagree, or rather I do agree with the scorecards. I think they were fair. I think that's pretty much how most people saw the fight play out, and it was a good judging when, if Berto was getting any kind of hometown cooking going on, some of those rounds they would have gave to Berto that they just didn't, and they obviously gave them to Guerrero. And so I'm happy that the headliner on an HBO card didn't seem like it was rigged one way or the other with the fucking judges. So that was good. Also, like I mentioned, I have mixed emotions about this whole night. Like, I have mixed emotions about the Hatton fight, because damn, he got beat down by Senchenko, man. What if he wouldn't have got that body shot in? What if Hatton would have cruised to a decision and continued fucking fighting? How awful would that have been? With Berto Guerrero, I have mixed emotions because it was a good ass fight. I mean, you can't really sit here and say it was exciting throughout the fight. It got exciting as the more exciting as the fight went on, but it was just extraordinarily interesting to watch how this fight played out. To me, you know, I can't speak for everyone. I can't speak for every boxing fan, but to me, this fight was incredibly, you know, interesting to watch. I mean, on the inside, Berto is just flat out mediocre. I mean, but he has such a hard, crisp punch that he kind of it's his equalizer. But Guerrero has had such a good chin that he took it, or was it that Berto doesn't really have power and it was because of PEDs? Oh, I had to throw that in there. I just had to. And reason I have mixed emotions really is because of the way Guerrero won. Yes, he won. I agree. He won the rounds that he won. But the way he did it was just really fucking ugly. This was a mugging. Guerrero showed a lot of veteran shit, which is fucking code word these days for dirty shit. And if someone commented right now before, you know, watching the end of the vid and went, Guerrero's dirty motherfucker, fuck him, I couldn't disagree. Because I liked Guerrero. I was rooting for Guerrero going into this fight. But after watching it, I was like, man, I kind of hope Berto cracks him. And then towards the end, I was like, man, I really wish Berto could get a KO here. I mean, Guerrero just really turned me off of him. I'm not with people who are saying Berto was being dirty too. That rabbit punching, yes, I understand that the punches landed where they shouldn't land, but wasn't it Guerrero's fault that they landed there in the first place? Like, Berto's throwing a punch like he should, and Guerrero's turning his head in, and that's the only place the punch can land. Now, when Glenn Johnson knocked out Alan Green, it was also, you know, a bad shot where it shouldn't have been. Well, wasn't it Alan Green's fault? I didn't hear anybody complaining then, so I'm just saying, why complain about it now? The ref was bitching at the wrong person during this fight, in my opinion. In my opinion, HBO hype aside, I really think Guerrero was doing a lot of the holding and, you know, really digging his head into Berto's chest to pin him against the ropes. And I'm kind of iffy about that. I don't like that. So, you know, I'm not sure. Maybe I think if there was a different ref in there, like somebody like Cortez was in there, I don't think Guerrero would have done nearly as well as he did. I don't know. That's why I really want to see a rematch, because Guerrero made me dislike him. Now I want to see a rematch, and I think if Berto could just relax in those first couple rounds, he wouldn't have been getting knocked down. He just needed to, when he was relaxed and it looked like he was throwing what he wanted to throw, he was doing really well. And there were a lot of hard shots he landed, and I just think if Berto could have avoided, you know, getting his face busted up the way he did really early on, he could have made more of an impact later in the fight, which was really random because I thought he'd be more of a beginning type fighter, and it was totally reversed. It was just kind of weird. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of Guerrero anymore. I can't. I wasn't a huge fan of him to begin with. But like I said, I was rooting for him. I would not root for him in the rematch, and I want to see a rematch, and I want to see Berto knock him the fuck out, and I think Berto can do it. Berto is another mixed emotion type deal for me. Like, on the one hand, I really fucking disliked him going into this. Like, you can see my past videos where I've mentioned Berto, and it's never ever in a good light. Like, I remember way back when they were talking about Mosley versus Berto, and then the Haiti earthquake happened, and, you know, Berto pulled out of it or whatever. But before the Haiti shit happened, before the earthquake, I made a video basically saying Shane Mosley would beat the shit out of Andre Berto at the time, and made no qualms about how, you know, awful I thought Berto would get beat. And even his fight with Ortiz, I just thought Berto was just this awful fucking hype job, and I still kind of do, but in a way, he was busted the fuck up, and he was still fucking fighting through that shit. In a way, you know, I got to give him respect for being able to, you know, get down in the trenches and get real gritty and still fight through it, even though grit is not his style, you know. Grit and tough and rough fucking tactics are not Berto, but he was, you know, he was in there. So I don't know. I just got a lot of respect for Berto now. So I said I needed to do another vid on a comment, I guess, about how I really felt about these fights, because I feel like sometimes in my post fights, I'm trying to keep it real PC and be like, you know, props to blah blah blah, props to blah blah blah, even though I feel a certain way. Like Guerrero, props to him, yeah, sure, props to him for winning, but he looked really vulnerable when he wasn't catching a fucking stiff fucking cold Berto in the first couple rounds. There was a lot of Guerrero that looked vulnerable, and again, like I said, if there had been a different referee, or you know, if Berto hadn't have been, you know, his vision hadn't have been so fucked up from his eyes getting so swollen so early in the fight, you know, just a couple of avoided things by Berto, and this fight could have went a whole different way. I really feel that way, and that's why I want to see the rematch. And I think I would pick Berto again, but I'd really have to examine this fight a couple more times. I think it's worth watching. It's really interesting. Like I said, not always visually pleasing or exciting, but for a boxing fan to look at the what really went down in this fight and how it went down is just it's worth checking out. For me, it was the fight of the night, and there were a couple of rounds in there. For me, could have been fight of the year. There were times when it was really fucking exciting and visually, you know, pleasing, and they were both landing fucking punches, and Berto was landing bombs, and Guerrero was landing bombs, and you know, there were a lot of times Guerrero fucking stumbled Berto, you know, but he didn't go down after you know, the first couple. You know, he was get hit by really nice shots after that too and not go down. So I don't know, guys. That's my long-winded ass fucking opinion piece. I guess you guys just let me know what you thought. And of course, I'm sure you'll let me know what you think about my fucking opinions, right? So you might as well let me know yours while you're in the process of dissing mine. Peace.